Alrighty, welcome back traders. My name is Chris and I am the Algo Man, and we are doing another live today. In today's session, we're going to do what we do best. We're going to break down the rhythm of the market using CYMO Pro and PureMO on a 2-minute time frame. Okay, now before we look at anything from today, guys, all right, we're going to roll it back last half hour of the prior session. Now, why? Because that's where the DNA of the open lives. The tension, the mispriced moves, the setups waiting to trigger, they're always buried in those final 30 minutes. And if you're not checking that, you're guessing. And guessing is a losing game, guys, okay? So once we decode the prior market's session close, we jump into the open, okay? And this isn't just another look at this bar and look at that bar kind of breakdown. We're going to go elephant hunting today, guys. And what does that mean? It means we're only looking for confirmed high probability trend trades, okay? No scalp scrapes, no chasing noise. We're going to use CYMO Pro on a 2-minute chart to identify early signs of directional intent. The kind that tells us if whether or not a break is coming, and we're going to use PureMO as our trigger. Confirmation the move is real and not just a head fake, okay? So you'll see where CYMO tilted and where PureMO validated it, giving us the green light to take the shot, okay? We'll walk you through that full process today from open till, I don't know, maybe right around 11:30 or so. And trust me, it was clean, guys. All right, so without any more further delay, we're going to go ahead and get this bad boy started. And like I said, in my opening remarks right now, guys, we always look at the last half hour of what the market was doing right before the market closed yesterday, okay? Now, this is the last half hour of yesterday's trading session. Hang on a second. My chart kind of looks a little bit funny right here, and I don't think this is the last half hour of the trading session. And for some weird reason, this kind of looks a little bit off to me right here. Okay, I think yesterday was a holiday, and that's the reason why it ended up closing the way it did. That's right. Yesterday was Memorial Day. I almost forgot. You know, the days go by so fast. I'm looking at my chart going, wait a minute, this isn't 4:15. The way it normally looks on the chart, this is actually 1 p.m. Well, yeah, the market actually closed early today. The futures market did. The stock market was closed yesterday. The futures market ended up closing at 1 p.m. Okay, that's the reason why I got cut off at 1 p.m. right here. I looked at my chart right now, and I'm like, wait a minute, this looks a little bit funny. So I'm glad I was able to remember yesterday was Memorial Day. Okay, great. So let's see what happened in the last half hour leading to the close, okay? We had a little bit of cyclic activity right here, okay? Not a lot going on, okay? We had cycle going up, momentum kind of flat right there. Not a lot to tell us whether or not the market is going to open up or down. From the looks of this right now, cycle is going up and momentum is flat right there. Market could potentially open flat. So let's see how it opens, and we'll take our first cue as to where this actually moves and see if there are any trade opportunities that we could have taken right out of the gate. All right, so here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And let's get this bad boy rolling, all right? It's 9:24 in the morning. We're going to kick this off at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time and see how this rolled. All righty, that's the first bar of the open right there, guys. And you got cycle and momentum still waiting for the confirmation signal for this bar to close before it moves right there. That to me looks like it's downside move. With cycle coming down, momentum coming down.
Order filled.
If I were a cowboy, okay, which I'm not, I typically skip the first 15 minutes of the day, and I were to take this trade, it'd be to the downside, okay? And this trade will fizzle out the moment that cycle and momentum interchange right here and cross. That's the end of that move to the downside, okay? Right there. See the crossing? That is
order filled.
the end of this move right there to the downside, okay? So again, guys, Market cycled a little bit, and we waited for the first bar. Momentum and cycle came down. We took that, and again, in a live trading situation, guy, I probably would have missed this trade myself. You know, I prefer trades right after 9:45 in the morning, but I'm doing this for illustration purposes for those of you who are more a little bit more risk averse than I am. This is how I would have entered and where I would have exited this trade in today's session right there. Okay, moment they cross, that's the end of it right there. Let's keep going. All right. Cycle just crossed above zero. This is telling you that price might potentially move up, but it might potentially move up only if momentum gets out of this trend zone down here. Okay, and we're right back in cycle zone over here. Okay, and if momentum happens to move up with the next bar, then this is a trade to the long side, okay? Right there.
Order filled.
If momentum stays flat and cycle comes back down, then that is continuation of cycle number 2, okay? In this case, it didn't. Momentum rose. Cycle was already above the zero line. And check this out, guys. This told you that the move was going to happen right here, at least a couple of bars in advance before the move actually took place. All right, so we will get out the moment that cycle right here crosses with momentum, and we'll see where that trade ends up. Okay, so right there, guys. Okay, this could be a potential trade to take and go ahead and clip it for a nice 1,600 point win on a 2-contract trade. But hold on a second. Hold your horses, okay? Not so fast, okay? You can take this, okay? But since we're hunting elephants, how do we know whether or not this move right here to the upside is going to be continuation of the move, or if it's going to retrace to the downside again, making this a valid sell signal right here where they intersect, okay? Let me give you a couple of clues that are really going to be important for you, okay? Because you're right here. You just saw momentum blow through 0.90, and you're sitting there wondering, man, this is a nice clip for $1,600. I could easily walk away and take my money and be happy for the rest of the day. But hold on. How do you know whether or not there's more huff and puff left in this trade? Let me kind of give you a couple of clues that will really help you hone in on what you're doing right here, okay? We got a 15-bar look back on this VWAP right here, on this blue VWAP. Generally, when price hits this 15-bar blue VWAP, price ends up bouncing back and it kind of stays inside into this chop zone, which is kind of common after you've had a little sell-off in the morning. You know, you get this pullback. This is nothing but a short covering rally, guys, from what happened in the morning as soon as the markets, you know, opened up. It opened down, it sold off. You're naturally going to happen. You're going to have a short covering rally. And this is exactly what this is right here with the little cycle component of price. And you can see the cycle. Momentum is following the cyan line right there. But all of a sudden, whammo, you hit the 15-bar VWAP right here, and it normally closes. Now, this bar actually closed above. Okay, it looks like it's opening up above this line, but hold on. Let's see if whether or not this is a head fake or this is actually a real start, the early outset of a trend. And that's the key, guys. Normally, if momentum rises above 0.90 or sinks below this level and you're right here, price will tend to bounce. But let's see if we have a potential setup to actually take this to the long side on a little bit larger scale, okay? This is our trend chart, and this is where this bad boy comes in right here, okay? Now, I want you to notice something very interesting on this trend chart. And I pause it because I really want to illustrate and drive this point home, okay? We do an ABC process. A, is price trending here, or is it cycling? Price is cycling. It's obviously cycling because it's inside the VWAP. Not only that, but it tells you up here in the upper left quadrant of the chart that the price is cycling, okay? Our mission in hunting elephants, guys, is to try to get in at the early onset of a trend, okay? During the cycle part of the trend. So if price is cycling right here, it just blew past the 80-bar VWAP right here. You see that? 80-bar VWAP just blew right past it right there, which is nice. You've got cycle going up, you've got momentum tilting right here, and let me go ahead and highlight those for you. So I'm going to give you the clues right now. You've got cycle going up right there, you have momentum with liftoff to the upside right there too, but you also have a shift in momentum right here. Look at this, to the upside. It's right there at the cusp, guys, ready to go up. And it meets both of our requirements of the yellow line being inside the threshold and moving in the same direction that momentum is moving right there. So you're right there, smack daddy at the cusp. And the third confirmation that you want to be sure just to add icing on the cake, if you would, okay, that this is actually going to move in your favor is right here, okay? You've got CYMO rising above the 0.43 threshold. So now, if you've got A, B, and C going in your favor and price just blew past the 80 bar VWAP, heck, you know what? I wouldn't mind holding this trade for an extra bar to see what happens with momentum. And if this bad boy continues going up, then this is definitely the start, the early onset of a trend. And sure it does, right there. It goes up, which means you hold on to the trade. You don't exit where you would have exited on your cycle chart, okay? And that's the process we use to try to nail these elephant-sized moves. And we're gonna go ahead and let this run until we actually start to see the cycle formation, cycle 1, cycle 2 here in CYMO, and we probably we'll get a signal right here with PureMO that the trend has completely fizzled out. So let's see how this plays out. And we're just gonna let this bad boy run until we actually get our signal. So Chris, what signal are we looking for? You know, what exactly are we looking for to get out of this huge move to the upside right here in the morning? Well, the confirmation of the trend, if you notice, guys, is just about to begin right here. This is the official confirmation that price actually moved into a trend right here. The moment the yellow line actually broke through the 0.90 level right there. Well, if that's the case, I want to begin counting my cycles. Exactly the same process I've told you guys before. This would be the initial cycle 1 start right here, and cycle 1 ends right there, okay? So if that's the start of cycle 1, I know that my average trade typically has 2 cycles, right? And if it has 2 cycles, I'm going to wait till the end of cycle number 2 to go ahead and completely exit the trade. Either that or the purple line right here in PureMO loses all strength and comes right back down to this gray threshold right there. Okay, so let's see how it plays out and how it holds, okay? And here we go. This is the beginning of cycle number 2, right here to the upside, okay? And we are gonna wait and see until cycle number 2 actually does its rotation, comes down, or we get the purple line sinking in right here in this gray threshold, kind of giving us a heads up that the trade has officially fizzled out, okay? And guys, I promise I'll get to your questions in a moment as soon as I'm done with the demo. Otherwise, it'll take me out of my frame of thought, but I promise I'll get to your questions. Just give me a sec. Okay, cycle number 2 seems like it's almost fizzling out, and the purple line is almost touching the threshold right here. In fact, it actually touched the threshold right there, okay? Let me just give that one more bar just to make sure it actually touches. Yeah, right there, guys. That would be the end of that trade, at least for me.
Order filled.
That'd be it, okay? Right there. And you've got cycle number 2 just ended right there, and you've got PureMO that actually just sunk right there, and that is really the end of how that trade ended up working out right there for you. Okay, so I'm gonna let this just run a little bit, and I'm gonna let it run a little bit to see what happens with price right here. And now that price went back into the VWAP right here, let me go ahead and bring this bad boy back. This is our cycle chart right here, okay? And look what's happening in our cycle chart, guys, okay? This is the moment price actually broke and it just took off like a rocket. Look at that. It closed above the blue VWAP right there, and then boom, took off. And now price is right back inside the blue VWAP. And let's just see what happens right here. And I'll get to your questions in just a moment, guys. Watch how price, guys, just stays inside the blue VWAP right here, okay? Alrighty, well, we got quite a few bars right there, and this is just going sideways. Okay, a lot of chop right there, guys, a lot of chop. Let me go ahead and stop it there before the screen just gets too wide right there, okay? Had a nice run to the upside, and then came the chop right here, okay? But as always, guys, not every part of the session is worth trading, okay? These are tradable parts of the session. These are not tradable right here, okay? Between 10:30 in the morning and about 11 a.m., price moved right into the VWAP zone right there, this blue 15-bar VWAP, and started doing what it does best there. Chop, noise, whipsaw. That's why we stop the replay where we do, okay? Because just like hunting elephants, you don't waste your time in the bushes chasing rabbits. You wait for the big one. And when the structure is gone, the range collapses and you stand down. That's called discipline, okay? So let's go ahead and take some questions, guys, because I know that I've got a few questions from some of the viewers here. And let me go ahead and go through this right now and answer your questions. Okay, let me just kind of go back from the furthest question I've got and just kind of go through these one by one. Okay, when Age is asking, when should the PureMO purple line matter when it has crossed the yellow line? Okay, that's actually a really good question, and let me go ahead and bring that chart back over here for you to see. Okay. There's two lines here in PureMO, okay? One represents momentum. The yellow line represents momentum. The purple line represents the leading function of momentum, okay? So when do these lines matter, and when do the crosses, when PureMO crosses, matter, okay? PureMO has a function where if you're using it in a cyclic environment, the crossings are going to matter right here, okay? So for example, if you're in a cyclic rotation and price is cycling, the crossing of the purple line and yellow line are really what's going to matter. With the settings that you have here on this chart of 30 and 26, it's not advisable to use it for a cycle chart, okay? If it were to be used in a cycle setting where the settings were tuned down to like maybe 10 or 14, okay, and the lines actually crossed, okay, and it was a cyclic environment, that's when it matters. But when PureMO takes off to the upside and you're in a trend, the only thing that matters is whether PureMO enters the exhaustion zone at 0.90 or PureMO actually comes back to this exhaustion zone right here, which is the gray region Y threshold. Now, if you notice right here, it never got to the 0.90. It actually just got to about maybe 0.50% of the 0.90 level, so it never really hit the 0.90. If PureMO ever hits the 0.90 and it tilts down from 0.90, that's where you take your exit, okay? But if the purple line crosses over or below PureMO the way it did right here, this can be completely ignored because you're looking at the momentum swing in price and you're trying to measure when the exhaustion phase is going to hit, which is right here when it comes back down. So it can either hit in two places. If it hits 0.90, let's say this line, let me just draw a line here for the purpose of just illustrating. Let me just plot a line right there, okay? Just for the heck of illustration. Let's say that this line right here was 0.90, okay? It's not 0.90, it's actually 0.40, but let's pretend it was 0.90 and PureMO had risen all the way to the 0.90. The moment it tilts down, that's the end of the trade. You know, that's exactly what we've covered in the past right there, okay? Why? Because this represents an exhaustion point in PureMO, okay? Today, it didn't hit the 0.90, it just kept going up, okay? So you look for the exhaustion of where this is going to exhaust itself, and it's right here when it hits the gray box. Now, the only time it matters when the purple line crosses below or above the yellow line is if you're using PureMO in the context of trying to capture the cyclic swing in price. That's it. And with the settings that I have right now of 30 and 26, it's not designed to capture the cyclic swing in price. So if you look at it right here, for example, okay, at 30 and 26, if you were to wait for this to cross over the yellow line, okay, you'd be getting out like over here at this bar. Way too late, okay? This is the reason why you don't use this tool in a cyclic environment. You only use it when you're actually trading the trend component of price, okay? But you can tune it down, and there are traders who actually use PureMO in a lower time frame chart, like the 1 minute. There's a couple of guys that I know that use it in a 1 minute right now, and they have it tuned down, like way tuned down. Nothing like 30 and 26, okay? They've got it like at 10, 9, 14 or something like that, where to them, the crossing of the purple and yellow line represent a turning point in price. And they're using that in this, and they're using that in a cyclic environment on very low time frame charts. It seems to work for them. And the reason they're doing that is because PureMO just happens to smooth out a lot of the noise in price. But I wouldn't use it personally in a cyclic environment. It was designed specifically to only capture the trend component of price, okay? And that's how you use it. Hopefully that kind of gave you a little bit more color right there on PureMO. But I'd be more than happy to, go over it with you in more detail if you like, over a one-on-one or over on Discord. Always happy to do that. Okay, I got another question here. Same. I thought you'd exit when, okay. So silent noise thought, yeah, you don't do that unless it's a cyclic environment. If it's a cycle move, then that would tell you that the move is completely over and done with. If it is a cycle move right here, but you don't want to use a momentum tool to try to capture the cyclic swing in price. And that's one thing. I always emphasize, guys. And that's the reason you've got two charts: one to capture the cyclic component of the move, the other to capture the trend component of price. And that's exactly what these tools do right here. Okay. You exited early due to I saw PureMO crossing when it was you definitely don't want to do that, because once it starts going into a trend and you have the trend component of it here confirmed, you want to wait for this bad boy to actually get exhausted and hit the gray threshold. So there's two ways it can get exhausted. One, it rises above 0.90 and it tilts down from 0.90, and that's the end of it right there. And in this case, it actually didn't reach 0.90. It actually just flew right below 0.90 and came down and boom, exited right there where I got out. Got someone asking, is this an automated trading bot? The answer is no. It's not a trading bot. Yeah, that was a strong upside push this morning, Samba Barbie. Certainly was. Thanks. What time frame is the chart? This is a 2-minute time frame, which is what I use. This is exactly the same chart, guys, that I use to execute my trades right here. A 2-minute time frame. How much did you earn today? That doesn't matter, man. I mean, how is that going to make you a better trader? Yeah, well, that's the reason we do these, because this whole environment that we're doing right now, this is a learning session. This is kind of where you have that aha moment, like, oh shit, I missed that, and now I know, type of deal. This is exactly the reason we do these live streams right here, guys, because the more you see it, the more it becomes second nature. The more you start to understand the relationship between the cycle chart, the momentum chart, and what to look out for in these trades, so that you don't miss the trades and you actually get out, right when you're supposed to, when the signal tells you it's time to get out. Yeah, and the more you watch and the more you see, the more it starts becoming second nature. Now, here's what I'd recommend for you guys to do. You guys who are CYMO Pro members, okay? What I'd love for you to do is, taking the knowledge, okay, that you just learned in today's recap, I would love for you to go back on your system, run this on playback mode yourself, okay? And try to replicate the same exact results that I had, that I just showed you guys right now, even if it's just to 10:30 in the morning, right there, okay? But don't cheat, Don't look at the posts that we're gonna go ahead and post the screenshots afterwards on Discord. Do it before you do that. Run it on playback. try to mimic the same exact results, okay? And if you see the same exact results, or if something varies in the process of seeing those results, then go back and look at the screenshot posted on the Discord channel, and then you can see for yourself if there was any mistake in the process of executing the trades. This is how you learn. You know, I'm here to kind of show you guys and walk you through a sound process of how this is done, but then you need to put it to work on your side, okay? Just run it back on playback mode and see how it works for yourself, for your own, for your own account, and then check the screenshot over on the Discord channel and see if you made any mistakes in the process of you taking the trade. And just remember to follow the process, guys. If you notice, I'm going to bring this bad boy back right here, okay? It all started right here in this cycle chart, okay? We noticed what happened in the morning when cycle and momentum fell. We clipped this trade right here. We waited for momentum to rise. Cycle was already up, okay, telling us, hey, price is going to tilt. It's going to move up. We just want to make sure that momentum is on our side and it's actually going to move it with us and not against us, okay? Because if momentum is flat, guess what's going to happen when cycle comes down? It's going to pull price right down with it, okay? So even though cycle is coming down, it's okay. As long as momentum is rising, we can execute this trade and go. But the moment that momentum rises above the threshold here, this is where we paused, okay? And we paused for a very good reason, because if you notice here on the chart, guys, with that 15-bar VWAP right here, okay, price had just hit that 15-bar VWAP, and typically it ends up bouncing exactly the way it did right here. You see that? It just ends up going into this chop zone right there. And so rightfully, you want to make sure that this is really going to have enough huff and puff to continue to the upside the moment you see this. And that's the reason we went ahead and paused and switched over here to our trend chart, because right here in our trend chart, you had the trifecta that showed you exactly what price was doing, okay? You had momentum rising right there. You had cycle rising right there. You had momentum rising there. You had a shift in momentum right there about to explode to the upside. And you had this bad boy right here set to 14 telling you, yeah, there's going to be a rise in price right there. So that trifecta together, guys, gave me the confidence to pull the trade to the upside. After you enter the trade, then it's a matter of doing two things, okay? The very first thing, okay, momentum moves up. This is your confirmed entry to the trade right here, okay? Now check this out. I want you to notice something very important, okay? We caught the entry to the trade like down here, okay, when it was about to move up. But look at how many bars in advance this told you that the trade was about to begin. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 9 bars, almost about 9 bars before you actually had confirmation that the trend was actually really going to rip to the upside. And if you're here, guys, and you're taking this trade ahead in the cycle component of price, that's exactly where you want to get into your trades. You want to get into them in the cyclic component of the move that's eventually going to turn into a trend, okay? And once we had trend confirmation there, then you begin counting your cycles, okay? You've got the end of cycle 1. Well, that's the beginning of cycle 1. You've got the beginning of cycle 2. That's the end of cycle 2. And you use this bad boy right here to improve your exits, okay? The moment it sinks right here, that's the end. There's nothing else left in the trade. That's the whole purpose of this, guys. It's a confirmation process, and once you're in a trade, then you're just looking for your exits. You're looking for the cyclic rotations here in CYMO, and you're looking for the exhaustion point right here in PureMO. And remember, the exhaustion point comes in either or phase. It's either it goes above 0.90 or it hits the gray box and you're done. That's it. There's nothing left in the trade. Let's see. I got a question from Age for setting on CYMO 14. Does momentum do overshoot or every time above the threshold? Is it true? Yeah, for most of the time, because you've got it on a slow setting, for most of the time it tends to hold. I would say in most of the cases right there, it tends to hold pretty good. And the reason why is because you're with the setting of 14, you're telling the algorithm that you want to see a little bit more of the momentum swing in price than you do the cycle component in price. Versus with the setting of 7, you're telling the algorithm, hey, I want to see more of the cycle component than the trend component. So yeah, it tends to hold pretty well right here all the way through and through. And but that's also the reason why you have this bad boy right here. You want to make sure that momentum is actually moving up and it's really going to take off. For example, like if you look at what happened right before the market closed yesterday, we had a move with momentum all the way up here at 0.90. Didn't exactly go above 0.90, but look what happened here with momentum in PureMO. It was completely flat. You see that? And if it's flat, this is telling you right there that this bad boy ain't going anywhere right there, man. And right here too, look, you had, oops, just put this little line right here, right there. And you also had your scalp mode that was actually going back into cycle mode right when this went up, okay? So you had you had two negatives right here. You had PureMO going flat on you, and it was actually flat for a while. Look at this. There was no momentum in the market whatsoever yesterday, and you had scalp mode going back into cycle mode. So there was really not going to be any move to the upside right there. So you combine them, okay? This is the strength of the move with momentum, and this is your sustained move as it stays on top right there. Where can I find the indicator? You can find it in the link in my bio. The link in my bio's got all the details that you might want to know about these tools. Alrighty, guys. Now, guys, if you've been watching these recaps for a while and haven't jumped in yet, I've got one question for you. What are you waiting for? The tools are tested, the setups are repeatable, and the process works. Okay? We don't hype, we show. And we've got a 7-day free trial just sitting there. And if you're serious about trading, like actually making decisions based on structure instead of emotions, then this is your moment. You can click the link in my bio, get inside, join the family, and if you want to fast track your progress, book a one-on-one with me. And I'll show you how to master CYMO and see the market through the lens 99% of traders never touch.